You're watching AnisaNaomiTV.
What's going on, guys? My name's Anisa. I help women elevate in work, life, and at home. I'm super excited to be back with you guys again, and today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome is something that a lot of people deal with, and it can really be debilitating to achieving our goals. I'm going to share with you today how I conquered imposter syndrome in a work situation, which ultimately led to me getting a promotion and increasing my salary. So let's dive right in. So you've probably heard about imposter syndrome. Maybe you've heard about the conversations on social media. Maybe you are wondering if you're dealing with imposter syndrome. And let's just ground ourselves in what the actual definition of that is. So I'm going to read that for you here. It is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So essentially it is constituting, or it is basically canceling out the work that you've done and saying that for whatever reason you have haphazardly had the success that you've had. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I've experienced imposter syndrome, and maybe you can relate as well. When I first started at the company that I'm currently working at in my 9-to-5, I was at a certain level, and it was a level that was kind of new to me from a management perspective, but ultimately I did feel pretty confident in the role relatively quickly. And about 9 months being in the role and at the company, I was approached by leadership to put myself up for a promotion, basically. They wanted me to interview for an open role that would be positioning, that would ultimately be a promotion for me. And initially it was exciting. It was kind of unbelievable. And I think that was my first reaction, was like, are they really asking me to do this? Is this just something that they're asking everybody at my level to do? Or is it because they actually want me? I started to doubt whether it was legitimate desire that they wanted me in this role, or that they thought that I would be a good fit for the role. I started to tell myself that other people would be a better fit for it, which I really didn't have any evidence of because I don't observe other people working that much. We work on different accounts, so I don't really get to see how other people work. So I was really hesitant, I was doubtful, and a little bit of what I explored later, and we'll talk about this later, but it was all rooted in a sense of fear. So I noticed that because of all of those feelings, I actually wasn't properly preparing for the interview. I wasn't doing my research on the roles, I wasn't looking into the different accounts, and I ultimately wasn't showing up in a way that was going to make a result that was positive. It wasn't going to lead to a promotion because I wasn't preparing for it. So here's the deal with imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, a lot of people have different opinions as to where it comes from. Some people will say that it's a symptom from high achievers where they are trying to continue to live up to the standard. And there's a lot of different things and factors that go into it. But ultimately, what I noticed in my research and looking into imposter syndrome is that people of all different backgrounds and all different social statuses deal with imposter syndrome. So whether you have one upbringing or another, you could suffer from and deal with imposter syndrome, deal with thoughts of doubt, deal with thoughts of feeling like you don't necessarily deserve the success that you've gotten. And some notable names are Michelle Obama has talked about dealing with imposter syndrome, even Kim Kardashian, Bella Hadid, and Tom Hanks. So these are really big names here that have talked about dealing with imposter syndrome, and we know that these are successful people. So it doesn't really matter about what your qualifications are, what your background is, or even your upbringing. Everybody deals with imposter syndrome in one way or another. So going back to the story with how I was dealing with being put up for a promotion essentially, and as I described, I wasn't really putting in the work that would produce a result. I was allowing for those feelings of doubt, the feelings of hesitation, and the fear to really drive me to not do anything that was going to create a positive outcome. Luckily, I started to notice this behavior leading up to the interview. I started to notice that in any other situation when I'm leading up to an interview, I'd be working on my resume. I would be looking at my past experience and connecting it to what the future or the role that I was interviewing for would call for. I would be researching the people who were interviewing me and figuring out, what's important to them and how can I position myself to, show my value and see the different commonalities between what I bring to the table and what they want brought to the table. And I just wasn't doing any of that. So I really had to take a pause and stop and figure out, okay, what's going on right now? And why am I not doing the things that I know I need to be doing in order to have success? And I went through an exercise where I was journaling out, what I was feeling. I was hesitant. I didn't feel like I deserved the role. I felt like other people might be more worthy. So I was attaching this opportunity to being worthy or not. And ultimately that feeling and those emotions were driving my inaction because I was avoiding putting the work in because I was telling myself that I wasn't going to get it anyway, I didn't deserve it, and somebody else was better suited for the job. And anytime we have these thoughts and these feelings, it's really important to take inventory of what thoughts are really driving your behaviors. And I talk about this in my program, the Larger Than Life coaching program, where we really want to not only be aware of how we behave and how we think and how our thoughts connect to our actions, but also learn to interrupt them. So that was what I did here, was I asked myself, is that true? Where did I get this idea that I wasn't worthy of this promotion? Where did I hear that somebody else was better suited for the job? What story, why was I coming up with the story that they were just asking everybody to put in for the promotion? And what I started to uncover through this process of really interrogating my thoughts was that it was all made up in my mind. Ultimately, I was really just afraid that they were going to reject me. I was afraid that I was going to go out for this promotion and they were going to tell me, no thanks, we're gonna pick somebody else. And that wouldn't have been so bad. I really was thinking about that and thinking to myself, it wouldn't have been so bad, but it was the thought that I was assuming that I wasn't going to get the promotion anyways that was causing me to not show up and not prepare in a way that would lead to a positive result. So lucky for me, I was able to kind of, journal myself out of this, asking myself, did I really want the promotion? What would it mean for myself and for my family if I did get this promotion? And really thinking about the positive impacts that would happen if I went for it, if the best case scenario happened. And then really looking at the work that I've been doing and the work that I have put forth to the company and think to myself, hey, can I actually do that job? And from my rational mind, from my prefrontal cortex, using, the most mature version of myself, I was able to conclude, actually, yes, I am the very right person for the job. And that was the thought that came up for me, is that I am the very right person for the job and I am here for such a time like this. And it was really encouraging and it really made me feel super confident. And it was that thought of trusting that I was in the right place at the right time and I was the very right person for the job. And it's possible that I am the one who will be selected for the promotion. And holding on to those thoughts, I was able to properly prepare, update my resume, look at my past experiences and see how they could correlate to what the promotion and what the new job was calling for. Ultimately, I prepared in a stellar way, honestly, and presented myself to really put my best self forward so that either way, regardless of the outcome, I would know that I did everything that I could and left it all on the table to give the right information to let people make the decision one way or the other. So with that shift in mindset and showing up to the interview in the best possible way, putting forward my best self and putting my best foot forward, it ultimately ended up with me getting this promotion. And that was a 55% increase in my salary, which ultimately changed the game for me and my husband. It allowed for us to save more, and that is one of the reasons why we are in this house right now. So it was really just an amazing outcome, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have shifted my mindset, if I hadn't noticed that I was really self-sabotaging with these thoughts and this idea that I wasn't worthy of the success that I had and I wasn't worthy of any more success. So it was an amazing outcome, and really illustrates the power of shifting your mindset and becoming aware of your thoughts, learning to interrupt them, and deciding to reframe them and choosing the positive thoughts that are going to lead to the positive outcomes. So I hope that you can see that you can turn any self-doubt, any thoughts of imposter syndrome to positive thoughts and build confidence for yourself when you just learn to become aware of your thoughts, learn to interrupt them, and start to reframe them. And if you've ever dealt with imposter syndrome, let's chat about it in the comments. I invite you to chat about it in the comments. Let me know your experience. Let me know how you've overcome imposter syndrome in your life. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, my name's Anisa. I'm so grateful that you were along this journey with me. I love you so much. Until next time, bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.